And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Cisco's Dragonfyre Adventures. So after this episode, I'll just say Cisco's, hoping you guys understand I'm talking about this mod pack. But yeah, last episode we did go into magic, well, more along the lines of the basics for iron spells and Ars Nouveau. If we do have the materials, then we might dive a little bit more into it again this episode. However, if we don't, then we will put that on pause. However, one thing I do want to do is to take out the Wilden Chimera, just because that is how you guys get the Wilden tribute, and we are going to need at least two. Reason being is one of them is going to be used to upgrade the book. Like if you come over here, upgrading our magic, let's click here, and if you press U on this, as you can see, to get the final tier of the book, we are going to need one of these, but this is also used in another recipe, and that is to create one, or basically to create more mastery. Then if you are focusing on summoning, then I highly recommend making this, which we might do. So in actuality, we might actually need 3 of these, no more. But if you do just want to farm him, I mean, go ahead. I'm not sure if he drops anything else besides that may be important. But yeah, besides that, I do have a little mini update for you guys regarding our colony. As you can see, we do have our tavern. However, we did finish up 2 buildings and added 1 extra. So the building I did add was the guard tower. So because we do have 2 guard towers, it means we do have 2 guards, and then that also frees up 2 spots in our village so people can spawn in. Unfortunately, we do have a few of these guards going out because of their strength. Oh, you are an archer. Hold up. One thing about the guard towers, you can't have a druid, an archer, and or knight. However, I really don't like archers, so Catherine Moontail, let's fire her, come back to knight and hire her again, but as a knight. This will switch her class, and the reason why I don't really take archers in the early game, it's because if they encounter a horde of mobs, they are just going to target one of them and barely escape the others, as they're slowly retreating as one gets them, but they just take so much more damage. And then if I just make them a knight, well, in the future, when we do build ourselves a university, they will be able to equip a shield and will be more skilled in combat, which would allow them to survive. Which brings us to the next few buildings that I do plan on adding. So before that, I did show you guys that I was thinking of building a restaurant as well as another house so that we can get more people moving in. And then, since these are finished, the next up is the university. How I stated before, the university is very important in mine colonies because it allows you to do research. What would this research allow you to do? Well, first of all, it allows us to unlock more buildings, just because there are quite a few buildings that are going to be restricting us from being able to build them. One such building is the hospital. That is pretty important just because that's where our colonists can go to receive the items necessary to heal and recover from any flus, as well as the school and library. These two will allow our colonists to increase their skills. So if we are to go to, let's see if our chef is in the restaurant. She is. So if we came over here and right clicked her, as you can see, the skills are really low. It's really low. I'm pretty sure these skills max out in the 90s. So if you look at it, that is kind of atrocious, but the library and the school allows them to increase their skills over time so that these would be on average in the 20s to 30s, which is way better starting point than here. So that's something to look forward to. One thing about the restaurant, you do have to come over here to this block and set the fuel and the food. Right now, I only have baked potatoes just because that's all I can currently provide on my own. Oops, sweet. And then I bring it over here just for them to cook it. Oh, looks like I need to bring some more coal over at some point, or lava buckets, or whatever the case may be. However, uh, this is where the chef will prepare the food for the village, and currently this only provides 25% nutrition to them. Mine colonists do prefer the mine colony foods. These will give them full, uh, like, what is it? Saturation? Yeah. So some of this stuff we will be working on slowly over time. However, I do want to automate some processes to get ourselves some food whenever we so please. However, we are not going to be using Create to do that. Instead, we are going to make ourselves an automatic iron farm and a little farm so that we can actually start getting some free resources. So I did remove this chest monster and our stuff, and I did move it underground. That's because I think I am going to put the university right here. The university is a sizable building. It's not too big, but it does need a little bit of room. And when I was walking around with the wand, like right here, I do plan on putting a road. That's why there's a pretty big gap. However, when we come over this way, as you can see, we are slowly reaching the edge of the barrier over here. And along the edges, I would really like to put some walls, and inside of those walls would be the barracks, just so that whenever enemies do spawn and they come in, they immediately encounter our guards as to them coming into the inner part of the kingdom and start attacking her people. So yeah, I decided that right here, I'm just gonna put some more residences so that we can increase the amount of people. As for on this side of the tavern, since this is more towards the center, I'm thinking of putting the university, a library, and then the school and doctor in about this area right here, so that we can keep it a little compact. As for how that's going to turn out, I have no clue right now. However, that is going to be the plan, and I will be slowly approaching that. I am trying not to flatten areas out so that we can kind of have the natural landscape or the natural generation of the world. However, it can look a little funky, so I'm trying to mess around with this stuff, maybe modify it a little bit like right here, so that it does look pretty nice. But overall, I think I kind of like it. Like right here, technically you could have this all showing, but since there's like a little uh basement type thing going on right there, I thought it'd be pretty cool if I built this a little bit into this hill. So yeah, the back doesn't look so pretty, but I think it's pretty cool. And then, as I said before, the tavern does house 4 of our colonists, but it also allows visitors to come by and relax, to which you can hire them. And the reason why you would hire them is because their base stats are usually way higher than our current citizens. So if you do want to get a little bit of a stat boost to your colony, and hopefully when you do have kids being born and growing up, hopefully there's a chance that they utilize the higher skilled colonist in the matchmaking process. However, let's get down here and actually get to work. So let's just sleep throughout the night, just because I'm kind of tired of losing my people. I think so far 2 guards have perished protecting the area. So if we can reduce the casualty numbers, that would be pretty great. So to get into easy villagers, you are going to need villagers, which you can just go up to them, shift right click and pick them up. However, you can also like literally pick them up. So hopefully you are lucky and they just turn into the item. version rather than you picking them up. If not, just put them back down and keep repeating the process until you get them. So I took the liberty of getting ahead just so that I can actually not have to wait too long. So first things first, let's come over here and put easy just so we could look at the easy villagers. This is the item look like that they have. And so over here, now the first thing I did do was make a breeder. To make a breeder, all you are going to need is 5 glass panes, a bed, 2 iron, and a plank. So very simple, very cheap, very easy to acquire materials. And then once you make one of them, which I made 3, however, I'm only utilizing 2, you go save, not kidnap, you go save 2 villagers from their horrible living conditions, and then you throw them in the breeder so they could just have the time of their lives, and then you just give them some food. Some of the best foods to give them is bread, and then also potatoes, just straight potatoes, not cooked potatoes. They will not accept cooked potatoes in here. I think it's 4 to 6 bread per baby villager that will be born. So I've done this a little while ago. So these guys popped out quite a few. And then now we have about 12 villagers to utilize for our purposes. I think I actually may need more, so let's check the food chest. We do have, oh, I could probably make some bread real quick. So let's do that. Come over here, you do this, boom, 30 bread, give that to you. You guys will eat potatoes, and then they'll slowly produce more. And then we'll toss them in the incubators. That helps them turn from the babies to the normal villagers faster. However, it still does take quite a bit of time, so I highly recommend putting these guys in a horse-loaded chunk so that you can go out and do different things and still get the villagers popping out. So I did move everything down here. As you can see, these are the chests. They are not labeled yet. However, I'll do that in the future. I did move the enchantment area over here. And then right next to it, we do have our little magic area. This is not going to be our final base, or maybe I may transform it into something a little bit more respectable. However, this is going to be our base of operations for quite a while. So yeah, breeder, pop out baby villager like this, and then you get the baby villager, and then you just toss it into the incubator. And over time, they will grow up. Once they grow up, they are here as normal villagers, which we can just grab them real quick. Boom. Now these guys are ready to do some work for us, which they will be pretty happy about. And it does look like they use 24 potatoes. That's crazy. And then what was that? 6 bread or 24 potatoes. Boom, another one. I kind of am just waiting just a little bit so that we can get another 4 going. Okay, now let's actually do some work. I do know we are going to need some dirt and some stone. We already have some glass and some glass panes over here. I don't know how many I need, but I will make this much for right now. Let's see, toss this up here. And then we'll grab a few waters and a few lavas just to show you guys a little bit of how you can get this done. So once you have those 2 guys doing whatever they're doing, and then you give them stuff and they're grown up, you are ready to make some actual farms. So if you do want to make an iron farm, all you are going to need is some glass panes. So once again, iron, stone, and lava. Then once we do this, boom, nice and easy. And then we could just keep repeating the process. Just R, click on that, R, click on that, boom. Nice and easy little iron farms. And then you just throw the villagers in there and they'll produce iron over time. However, I do want some farms. Reason being, well, we do technically have a potato farm, but if we are going to be increasing our villager count, we are going to need a lot more hands ready. So yeah, I do want to make at least 8 iron farms. That may be excessive. However, I think I may be utilizing iron in the future for some builds, so not too bad. Okay, let's grab all these water bottles and see how many I can just make. Hopefully I do have enough materials. I think I'm gonna need a little bit more of these. Okay, and okay, how many more can we make? Alright. Is that all the waters? Yep, looks like it. I do want to keep this one for myself. And just like that, we did produce 8 iron farms and 10 farmers, so it's not hard to get started, and it's pretty easy to get some early game resource generation. And let's first make some hoppers, and then we'll actually start showing you guys what we can do with it. Okay, so let me get a few more chests. And then I need 8 of these, so we'll do this. Perfect. And then as for the chest, I do believe we can upgrade it to an iron tier, just so that it can hold more resources. So iron chests, no, sophisticated. Sophisticated storage. Space storage. Okay. So if we leave it like this, move over this way. Yep, we can make barrels. Where's my chest? Okay, cool. So there is chests. Come over here. Iron. Iron oak. So yeah, here we just need to put iron around a oak chest, and then we can make an oak iron chest. However, sophisticated storage does require you to make the oak chest by utilizing a redstone torch along with the wood, and then you could just convert any normal chest into a sophisticated chest. Oh my goodness, just combining those two. So good thing I do have some of this. Grab some of these, and then we only need, oh, we're gonna need a little bit more chests, so do something like that. Perfection. Let's see, hopefully this works. I could be wrong. Damn. Okay. Note to self, and you guys saw it, do not make spruce chests. It will mess it up. That's why I usually do this, but I gave it the benefit of the doubt and turned out I was wrong. So we'll do this, do that, and then make sure you use this before this completely destroys it. You cannot convert this back over, and this iron chest is good. However, it is not as good, in my opinion, as the iron chest from sophisticated storage. So yeah, just like that, we do have these guys, and I do plan on putting it over here. Well, at least, let's see, I know this is chunk loaded, so yeah, I guess this stuff will be here, the farmers will be outside, just because the farmers may play a little bit of a more important role sooner. So I put the chest here, have the hoppers there. Let me take this off, this is a little annoying at times. And then just put all the iron farms on top of the hoppers, so that as they start producing iron, they automatically get put into the chest. As for how can we access the chest, well, you have a little angle here, or you could put a block, get it in here, jump, and or put this up so you could go underneath and grab it. It doesn't really matter as long as it's working. So then you can just, hold up, let me grab these other baby villagers, and then we'll toss one here. I don't know how many I could do. Okay, cool. And then you guys will have an extra piece. Sweet. And then over time, they'll grow up. Yeah, as for these guys, how you can get them to start working, all you have to do is right click with a villager, and over time, they will start doing their job. Boom, 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 and boom. Perfect. Just like that. These guys will basically get to work, and then we could just leave them alone, which is super neat. As for the farmers, they are basically going to be doing the same thing, so I am going to just place them all along right here. This all should be chunk loaded. Yes, perfect. And then I could just put chests down here and then do the same thing with hoppers. So let's see, do I have more iron? Just in case. Let's get you more chests. Boom. And then we'll do something like this. Whoa. Okay. Mess that up instantly. Boom. Really do. Okay, there we go. Sweet. And then I guess we only have 4 for right now, so we will only make 4 hoppers, but also have some more chests. Boom. Do something like that. Perfect. And then we'll just do this. And just like that, they are almost ready. So all you have to do here, and let's get a little bit of a vantage point so that you guys can actually see. If we just right click here, these guys will turn into farmers and they are ready to work. All you have to do is choose the type of crop you want them to grow. From what I know, Easy Villagers only works with vanilla Minecraft material. So for right now, what we care about is carrots and potatoes. Why these 2 crops? Well, we are using potatoes as well as our colonists are using potatoes. But the reason why we also want carrots is because carrots and potatoes are, you technically need one of each to cure the influenza sickness that they can get. So if we start stockpiling this early than needed, then we will have the stuff ready and we don't have to worry about too much stuff. So let's do that. And you guys have not matured yet. Okay, cool. Looks like we already got all that we can out of them. These guys will work over time. We'll come back and check in on them later. But for right now, what we want to worry about is the Wilden tablet so that we can fight him and wrap this episode up. So if we come over here and click on this tablet, because this is what we are going to need, as you can see, there is 2 recipes. One of the recipes is if you do not have any of these Wilden materials, which is very nice, just because sometimes you may be unlucky and not have 3 of any. However, in this mod pack, it's relatively easy to acquire said resources thanks to the dungeons. It's very nice. So yeah, all you need is 1 Vex, Archwood, a block of emerald, iron sword, bow, and a block of lapis to make it, or you use the alternative, which is vexing archwood, 3 materials of any, and then a lapis block. So if we come over here and grab that real quick, boom. Oh yeah, I did say I wanted to fight him a couple times. However, I'm only going to fight him once with you guys so you guys can see and gauge how strong he could be. Hopefully we are prepared for it. Let's see. Mob materials should be over here. So we do have quite a bit of everything, which is quite fortunate for us. However, since we are going to be fighting in, we are going to need a little bit of stuff like that. So then after that, that should be enough for the 3 tablets. So perfect. Reason why I'm grabbing a little bit of each of these, even though we only need 1 for the tablet, well, that is because if you come over here and hold shift, you will get extra information that will tell you that if you are trying to spawn the Wilden Chimera, you are going to need to augment the ritual using a Wilden horn, wing, and spike to get the Chimera. If not, it's not going to spawn them in, it's just going to spawn in one of the 3 random mobs, which then you could farm more materials. So yeah, that's also something. If you didn't get any of these and you are utilizing this, maybe you might be lucky and get all 3 materials, or you might be unlucky and just be getting a lot of 1, but you could just keep repeating that process to get everything you do need. So let's grab the vexing archwood, 3 pieces, lapis, Let's turn you into the blocks. And then when we click here and click there, this should be the 3 that we need. We have the 3 to augment it, and we have our weapon. Let me get my shield out. Our armor should suffice, and everything we have should be a-okay. Let's see. This is 2. That's 2.5. Let's see. Okay, 4. That's 95%. Then we should be able to level this up. Perfect. So now this will give us a 200% damage boost occasionally. So we'll be able to hit, kind of give it a little bit, hit again, and then be able to do basically triple damage. So we are already going to be doing about 60 plus. I'd say cap 70. So being able to do 210 damage in a smack is going to be pretty beneficial to us for our sentient rust. I mean, I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not going to upgrade all this. I do want to save the XP to keep enchanting pickaxes in the hopes that we can get Silk Touch so that we can make an XP farm, which is very crucial. As you can see, these guys have been getting to work very quickly, producing us tomatoes or potatoes and carrots. I do plan on using these guys to also make one of every other crop in Minecraft, just so that I have all of them. These guys are finally grown up, so we should be able to do that. And if we look over here, we are already producing some iron. So yeah, it's very efficient, very effective. So if you guys need some early game resource generation, I highly recommend using easy villagers before anything else. I mean, I added extra mods, so I have other options. However, if you are just playing the base pack, of course, you are more limited than I. So, I kind of forgot I did need the brazier. You. And let's head on up. Go to a clear area and fight this guy. Oh, it looks like we should sleep. I did lose my sleeping bag. I don't even know how or where, but it is gone. So I do need to make myself a new one at some point. Yeah, just like that. Let's get up here. And let's see. What would be a pretty decent spot? Because I don't want the guards to run over and try. They might just instantly perish. Okay, so we open this up. An open area to fight. Oh, I know where. Let's go to one of the villages that are far out towards the savannah. So that'll be a nice open area and might give us a little bit more of a challenging fight. Hopefully we don't get stunned. So if I come over here, desert's a little far. Bored. I think this one's a closer village. Yep. Okay, cool. Not too far, pretty close. So our enemy won't be insane. One thing I do want to check is if there is any birds nearby. And that's just because these birds are atrocious in the fact that when they do come at you, they do come in a pack or a swarm, and they'll just continuously shoot feathers at you, and it is rather annoying. Where is it? Okay, cool. It was right here. So to get this guy in, you just right click the brazier. You put one tablet. Let me just move the shield real quick. And then you right click with one of each. And then you right click with an empty hand. And then this will start going. And yeah, basically, let's fight this guy. See what happens. Boom. And there he is. That is our guy. So we could come over here. Looks like we could smack him a couple times. Let's get rid of these dogs real quick. We're not in a very strong position, so we gotta be a little careful. But as I said, he's a rather easy boss. Boom, smack him a couple times, and boom. Just like that. It's super easy. Once he's gone, that's it. We get ourselves the Wilden tribute. Get ourselves a shader bag, just because we do have immersive engineering. As for how this stuff works, I have no clue. I've never really utilized it, but yeah, just like that. Boom, got our still. And then when you do slay the little mobs he does summon to help, you can get yourself some extra material. But yeah, with this, we do finish up our quest over here so that we can get another skill point for free. And then technically, I should go to the nether, farm a couple wither skulls, and fight the wither so that we can actually complete this quest. And then go to the ocean monument or ocean temple, whatever you want to call it, and maybe check out the area. See how far away it is. Just because that will affect the strength of the Elder Guardian. This guy is kind of strong, so we are going to want to prepare ourselves and get some pretty good enchantments and probably get into iron spells for sure, and ours as well, just because that stuff may all come in handy for this fight. Can be insanely scary, can be pretty easy. It's a 50-50 toss, but another thing that I forgot to mention is some of these little introductory areas, just as if you just go through it and click, you can get some skill points. I kind of forgot about that. Let's see, this one's locked, I don't care. What about you? Yep, boom. Let's see, another one? Sweet. I'll read this stuff later when we actually get into it. For right now, I'm just more curious about getting as many skill points as possible so that we can be a little stronger for when the time comes. So besides that, I did clear out this quest, defeating a raid at a village. So now we can actually claim this dormant relic, which is going to be really nice because we already have runic tablets. We can get a little bit more, which will then allow us to make this guy. And this one is pretty solid. I just don't know if I have an enchanted golden apple, which if I do not, there are a few dungeons that I have found that I plan on raiding on my own. However, if you guys would like to see a future dungeon raid, let me know down in the comments. I will be sure to try getting to that. But yeah, look at this. It's pretty nice. The damage when you upgrade it goes from 9 to 19. However, since we can craft it, the damage will also be increased by 7. So in theory, that sword will be doing about 26 damage per hit at 2 attack speed. It is pretty crazy if you think about it, just because you can also alter it with a runic gem, and then of course if we add normal gems and go into apotheosis, it just gets crazier and crazier. So yeah, just like that, we were able to defeat the Wilden Chimera, and once we are able to farm a few wither skulls and get that set, we can fight the wither and then be able to upgrade our stuff, and then yeah, it's pretty much smooth sailing. I already explained what I plan to do with these, how we are going to be producing some early game footage and some iron, which is pretty nice. Let's see what I should talk about before next episode. I think I am going to be using a lot of XP to hopefully get Silk Touch and maybe Fortune 2. Just because if I can do that, then I can go collect a spawner that I have found, or a few spawners, because I did leave a few alive over in the dungeon. I could go collect those, go put them all together in a bunch, and we can work on making a XP farm next episode. But with that, guys, if you guys enjoyed today's episode, make sure to hit that like button, and if you have any comments, questions, concerns, tips, tricks, advice, and or just have anything to say, just drop it down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer you guys as soon as possible whenever I go down there to check. But yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying this series. I know I'm having a ton of fun. Cisco's is just very fun, and the fact that I did add a few mods expands a little bit on production, and honestly, I really enjoy production type games. I mean, all the mods 10, it's probably the biggest example of it. And the next one I think of doing when it's coming to absurdities is possibly Greg Tech New Horizons. I've heard how monstrous it can be, and I think that would be pretty cool. But for right now, our monster is to learn about Cisco's legacy, see if there's any hidden truths regarding that, expanding our kingdom, working on this colony, making sure they grow up nice and right, and then establish the Order of Truth so that we can tell the colonists the truth of this world and the truth about Cisco's adventures. But for that, guys, thank you guys for watching, and if you guys are enjoying the series, hit that subscribe button. But with that, see you guys next time. Peace.